Greetings, everybody. This is the Art Lexcia podcast. This is episode 91. Oh, fuck. This is episode 94. Sorry about that. Maybe I'm not that sorry. Yeah, it happens, but it's episode 94. It's actually, they're recording this week in the latter part of October, and it is hot.
It is very warm.
So maybe the heat's making. I know that one Boondocks episode, they say sometimes heat makes people crazy. I actually do think it makes people a bit crazy. But anyway, talking about crazy, we had a very cool episode last week. Hoek Swartle from the Market Photo Lab. I know we got that one wrong last week.
So many times.
He's thanks for coming through. I checked out most of his images online. It seemed really cool. His work was really cool. It was really cool having him on. And man, just to all other listeners, remember we are on Patreon. We are on AfroPod. So there's an app also. So it's Afro as in Afro and Pod as in POD. And then all the other major on Spotify, iTunes, Captivate, all YouTube. The other major. And then we are on YouTube as well. Just one last thing before Siza come in. We also got some really cool guests lining up over the next 3 weeks. A lot of visual art and I think a lot around Gallery 360 Africa. So look forward to that. And Siza, we also got a really cool guest today as well. And then Siza will be.
Yeah. And I'm very excited about this one. It's also just beautiful to see how we've grown, because our guest, Mthunzikazi Mbungwana, I've known her, literally when I entered the whole literary scene.
Which is a long time ago.
She's been a sister and consistent. So we give thanks for life and for friendship and that kind of stuff. And today Mthunzikazi Mbungwana, she's a poet. She's currently working on a PhD, and her focus is on languages, which is really funky because we are very interested in that.
Yes.
Welcome, Mthunzi. Welcome to the pod, to Art Lexcia.
Welcome.
Thank you, man. Nkosi, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've known Siza. She's always been my younger sister, but she's been this, I think, since 2000 or 2001. It's been that long. We've been doing this, when it was fashionable, when it was not, and then it was fashionable again when it was not. And I even remember you, Wesley. There's a thing that you used to host. Was it? What's this place? In Joburg, man. What was this place? I'll remember now. Where next by Prastiv. Remember Prastiv?
Yes, Freedom Station.
Yeah, you were up somewhere up there. We performed up there now.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Before it was before it was fashionable, and then when it was not. So we've been doing the work here. Now
thanks for that, my sister. Yeah, man, that was a super cool throwback. Because I remember that Freedom Station was too cool. It was too cool, man. Wesley, those were very fun memories.
Yeah, in West End. Then you had your poetry sessions there. I don't know what we call them. Pepper, what are they called?
I used to do United Siblings. Like we published the first book.
We were still. It was. And it was difficult by then, It was difficult to be a Xhosa poet then because everyone was going in English, man, and they had proper lines, and it was tough to get everything. If you don't do it in English,
That's actually an interesting point that you're saying there about like how and you were right, like everything was English there, and you did say offline that we want to focus a lot on language today. Because I know you're doing some super cool work. You're a PhD student, or what do they call it? PhD student or PhD? What's the right word?
You're
studying candidate. You were a
PhD candidate.
Yeah. Now I know for next time. And it's all around language, and that we want to focus a lot about that today. I also know you were a published author. And I know your whole being is centered around language, and that's also very a thing that's very consistent on this platform. Yeah. So Siza.
Yeah. No, I think we can just make start it off, through poetry, because that's the medium that we met through, and that's how we know Mthunzikazi, the poet. So tell us about that journey of being a poet and why it's important for poets to exist in this space and time, especially with this with the language conversation we're having today. What poetry does role play mean, and what does being a poet mean to you?
Yeah, that's a very difficult even for the candidate. I'm not really worried about the PhD thing. It's important, but it's not that important because I'm always doing the work. But I've realized that I'm in Makhanda, which was known as Grahamstown or Echini, a lot of people will know it when there's a festival, which happens in June, July, but we stay here, small town, with donkeys and potholes, and that's just about us, But the thing is, it's amazing that you are here in this town and people are studying here, not from here, from the Eastern Cape, firstly. And then you get to the African Languages Department, of which I'm in. I'm a student there, and I teach part-time. And I'm a poet here at Rose University. And you find that there are fewer people who are writing in this course. So that's very worrisome for me. That's very, very worrisome. But what happens? And I realized very early. There's a professor called Langague who said the reason why people are not writing in this Xhosa because it's supposed to be praising all the time, and it's supposed to be ornamental. I'm paraphrasing here, because I'm not gonna do references today, and do quotes. I'm off. It's my off day. So it's those things that then. I think the reason why people don't write in this language, but I'm here, Wes, I'm here, Siza. What's going to happen to me? So that is the important thing. So you ask why a poet's important because poetry is about agency. Poetry is about saying this thing at this point and without frills, without sugarcoating it. And we need a mirror, all we do is to provide a mirror to the society. We're part of the society. We say, but I'm holding this thing. This is what you are doing. This is what you could do. We are not better than anybody else, but it's important because we are part of the society. So we are commenting on what is happening within our society. For me, as I was saying offline, that my English is okay, it's very okay. It's out of ICU, so I could survive. But I don't know the nuances of the language. So what happens to people like me? What happens to people like me who write in this Xhosa that I know the nuances because writing needs to have textures.
Yeah.
For me, even poetry is about textures. It's about there's a billboard. Wesley crossed the street. The day the streets and Wesley crossed, then it's a poem already. The way you are doing
like that.
So there are those
I like that.
small
That's
things
very
that
clever.
You need to refine them.
Yeah.
You need to refine them, and you can refine those. I am able to do that in my language. I am. I'm not. What is the word? I don't want to use the word I was thinking in my mind, so I must find another word. I'm not empowered. I'm not empowered in that way in terms of English. So I am empowered in Xhosa to say I move past the billboard. I move past saying just the billboard. Say the Chikoloshe is chasing me. Tokoloshe is chasing me to get to the point that the day me and Tokoloshe chased each other, then there's something else already, it gives you something to think about, So that is the thing. That is the thing I do with the language and language, because there are two things I was saying yesterday to another friend. There are two things that have happened in life: is birth and death. those are just two things. But then how do I present death? How do I present birth in a way that when I'm saying these lines, you think that you are hearing it for the first time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because how many love poems can you write? You know, like we need there's always a fresh way of presenting these things. No, for sure. And I also just love what you're saying about, you know, art as a mirror, because it's important how you see yourself. How you see yourself is very, very important. And you as an artist just putting out that mirror, you know, it's for your reader to decide how they see themselves in this reality that you're portraying. I think that's really great, and you're doing very important work with the translation also of this, because it's also about access. I know you are working on translating Ubungi, Watiyongo, as well as Marikana, you know, into isiXhosa, because access is a very important. I mean, it's a big deal, very important. Yo, English is.
Yeah. I just want to add a point on before you answer, because I think that is so important, actually, because you're talking, access, and we'll get it how technology is sort of operating in that space. But yeah, man, I think that's incredible work that you're doing. So it'll be cool to hear for you to explain, you know, the processes behind it. You know, maybe that just for the listeners, just explain what you're translating, and I guess how or the processes behind that.
Yeah.
The also, again, as you've put it succinctly, you know, speaking English now.
Yes,
succinctly. The access, you know, and I didn't think about that. Now that you are saying it, it's a gate, because we're talking about earlier. We're talking about gatekeepers, people who are blocking us from accessing this thing, because your language must be this, must be that. And I always say to my student, write the way you speak, you know. And it is important, because what I've realized with the work, and the work that does not talk to me, is the work that is too clean, you know, and work that is, you know, ornamental, beautiful, and, you know, and I don't like that work. I think art has to do with messiness, you know. It must be messy, you know. It must be messy. You must have your hands in that gravy, you know, a souping, you know, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So the thing again with access with translation, if there are these seminal works, you know, whoever decides what is seminal, we'll get to that. Maybe that's a topic for another day. But how do we then? Because if we are saying we are decolonizing, because the one that we're doing now, Langague, is like decolonizing. I'm translating Ngugi's work, decolonizing the mind. It's 4 chapters, so it's 4 of us who are translating a chapter. I'm the last one to finish, because I'm that kind of a person. You know? I'm always that student at the back in the class, you know. Yeah. And I'm fine with that.
Okay.
At this age, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm over 40 now, so I'm fine. You know. But then it's having access to the language, but also to say that we can, and we've always been thinking in our language. Because what happens with this academic space is sometimes that they go and mine the information, and then they bring it to themselves, and then they separate the informer to the information, if that makes sense, you know.
It feels
so
like
now we're saying
also it's like stealing.
Yeah, I don't want to say things that are career limiting, so I'm just gonna say and then I move on.
It's like that.
Hey, we gotta eat at the end of the day. At the end of the day, we gotta eat. So
you see, Wesley, I've got a 12-year-old boy that needs to go to school and eat. So
yeah, man.
So there's some things I would say and things that I won't say.
Like I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And if our listeners get what you're saying, so I think your point is made.
Yeah. So the important thing is to get this information, and then we try, because there's something called now intellectualizing African languages, which I have a problem with it, as if they were not intellectual before, because they've always been intellectual. But I think even whoever coined that term was trying to, so I'm not really bashing them, was trying to say this knowledge is important. You know, there are people like, Dr. Mbungwana, who says Umakulu is a source of knowledge, you know. That's where you get the stories, you know. That's why we grew up. Like we were asking about poetry, so I'm going to be all over, but I'm going to answer all of them by the end of the time. We were talking about where I come from with poetry, and me and my grandmother, we used to listen to we had Petri, what was it called? It was Power Everett.
Everett, yeah, those are the black and white one.
Yeah, P9, you know. So we used to listen to. I'm old, so we used to listen to stories, drama stories on Umhlobo Wenene. Before that, it was Radio Xhosa.
Yeah.
Sure. And then my grandmother said, if you want to speak English, then you must and speak English well, then we must listen to SAFM. So we used to listen to SAFM, and then we used to listen to Radio Xhosa, and then it became Umhlobo Wenene. So that is where, by that time, I did not know that, you know, I had poetry in my veins. But also I was raised by a father who was a senior preacher at Methodist Church, you know. So I used to go to Methodist Church and see him perform. But also at the back of my yard, our neighbors were amagqirha, you know, the divined ones, you know, and then they used to beat this group there, you know, the drum. So all of this, then later when I got to Joburg and I met Siza in 2000, that's when all of this came together, you know. But then if we don't translate these works, then people who don't read in English, then I'm missing out.
That knowledge.
So that's a thing for me for translation, but also is to say that in your language it's even better. As I was saying, that I've got when I think about writing, I always say to my students, you must have a basket of words. So it's more like you're playing chess, or you are building a puzzle. So you choose this word and it doesn't work out, you put it outside, then you take another one. So it's more like knitting, and you need to take your time with it, you know, until you find that perfect word that says these things without being descriptive. And the thing is, with our language, sometimes it can be very descriptive. So you need to find just one word that means one thing, because then you are able to then articulate that agency that we talk about in one word. In one word, then you're able to say this is the thing that I'm saying. So that is the thing which is important to me. And then you ask, Wesley, what is the process of translating? You can't direct translate, because you're going to miss people. You can't direct translate. So sometimes you need to read it. That's why I was saying that I'm a very slow student, because I need to read it sometimes 4 times. Because especially with Ngugi,
I can imagine.
Like words like the words like I'm trying to think now out on top of my mind. Words
like just decolonize. I mean, that's
decolonize. What do you mean by decolonize?
Exactly.
What do you mean by bourgeoisie? What do you mean by neon? Whatever, and all of these words. You know, what do you mean by portrait? You know, all of these words. So
that's very interesting.
Then you must think about these things. So you can't direct translate. Sometimes I must read it 4 times and I'll sleep on it. Like literally, I must go and sleep because I can't translate more than 4 hours a day. You know, because you use a different brain when you're translating.
Yeah.
And then I must come back and then I must think about it. But also there's something called idiomatic expression. So if you don't have that particular word, what will be the idiom equally to this sin?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So you must think about it that way. But also with Marikana that I've just started now, what I did, I said to them, I'm not translating this one. This one is I am not translating, but I am adapting it.
Yes.
So what do you mean by adaptation?
That makes sense.
So So when I'm adapting it, you know, like now even English, you know, is stuck in my throat. You know, when you're adapting it, it means I'm working on images.
Like translate.
So I'm working on the images. So you say?
Transcreation. I just learned that term.
Oh, I did not know. I must write it down. Didn't even know what that means. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, you transcreation, like not translating literally, but you are in transcreating, recreating.
Thank you, Siza, for securing my bag. Transcreation.
Wow, that's actually quite a compliment. There's so many meanings. I think that's a conversation on its own. Yeah. I think you'll say.
Thank you so much for. I'm gonna throw it in, you know, because I don't think my people. I don't think my the people who hired me know that word. So I'm just gonna throw it in. Thank you for securing my bag.
Yeah. Nice one. But also, you know, exactly this, ne? When Mthunzikazi is also how do we because English technology, COVID didn't exist until when it did. 2019. And there was a word for it. Like also how are
was this?
2019, COVID. I'm just saying it didn't exist. COVID. Like we didn't know it, but there was also language around that event of COVID.
There's a lot of new terms, new words,
new terms, and
metaphors.
Which is very complex.
That's a super interesting question.
Yeah, because for me, I'd like you to comment on this. Just the fact that obviously we create language based on our setting and current experience, and you relate to your environment and you create language for it. And then there are also, for example, I'm Zulu. My Zulu will never like vie in KZN, for example, because I speak Zulu. Soweto, and it's valid because it's Zulu. We are using it. Like, you know, how do you navigate those spaces between pure language, which is fine because it's the base. You know, I'm also interested in that because we need to understand the phonics, I, E, I, O, U. So the language should be structured like this, even though we approach it in a certain way. Can you maybe comment on that and how we grow language?
I always have a problem with that. You see, I'm breathing in and out. You know, I've just started yoga, so I'm learning to, you know, just compose. I think base is very important.
Absolutely.
So that you know, if you're transgressing, you must know why I'm transgressing. And I've told you I'm that kind of a student, and it's backwards, very problematic, you know. My teacher must be ready when they come to class. I'm going to ask them why you say this.
Yes, girl.
You know, I'm that kind of a person. But I think also in formulas, we must acknowledge the times that we're in. So because I think the reason why, for example, I'm going to make practical examples because that's what I know, you know. The thing is, why now we're having a dwindling number of students who are interested in studying Xhosa at a university. It's because they find it to be very stagnant, you know. As if life is not moving, as you were saying now, you know, we didn't know what COVID is. I don't remember. Luckily, or maybe unfortunately, I was not in the part of the people who translated. No one gave me that gig of translating stuff on COVID.
Yeah.
But I've seen people who do that because like everything else in the language now is situational, right? And also it's like it's moving, it's not staying. So I always say to someone, as long as you are true to yourself, I might not understand what you are saying. Remember, I don't have to as an examiner or as your lecturer or as your audience. But it is how you say it. And remember, Wesley, I was saying even the thing with the agency. You know, I think with the thing is that the difference between the poem and the billboard. You know, it's how you say it. It's how you say it. It's the importance of how you say it, but it's also how you trick my mind into thinking that I'm hearing this thing for the first time.
Sure.
Although I've had it like 11, 12, 13, 14, 5 times.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's how you say it. So it's the same thing with language. It can't be stagnant. Therefore, students are going to shy away from coming to our classes because we want to teach about things that are not relevant to them.
That's a super interesting point. I'd actually, sorry, I would actually like to explore that thing on multiple levels because what you're saying, I've actually seen that in other aspects of life where there's certain careers, for example, paths which was cool maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, but the fact that it didn't adapt to this changing world, and like exactly 3 years ago or 2020 when COVID hit us, change in terms of communication, movement, consumption, economics has changed like so fast, which is unbelievable. So what you're saying, that the fact that language, or rather language practitioners hasn't adapted fast enough in order to attract, raises a very interesting point for me. Before I get to that point, I just want to add on just to another thing. I think the fact that on this part, this is a Pan-Africanist platform, and we try to stress that with every episode. So we're very interested in how creatives are adapting and working. I don't really like people complaining too much, and so we try to shy away from that. But like I think you're just raising too many interesting things there. And the one thing, the fact that everything has moved so fast in 2020 or post, which is a bit off. How is your industry? What mechanism, what processes, what technology are you using to adapt? And sort of what's the replication of that? Because I read a very interesting point, an article some time ago. I think this was many years ago, and in fact, that because people are sleeping with everybody, so there's going to become like this Creole culture or group of people, which is population number wise, which is bigger than everybody, which will be bigger than the Blacks, Asians, and so forth, and all these race identities that we have, and the fact that this sort of new Creole culture, they forecast that, I don't know, I can't remember the year, but it will be very huge. That's going to change the dynamics of culture and language, art, expression to a huge degree. And I think cultural practitioners like myself, like yourself, like Siza and others working in poetry, and I'm doing visual art more, are very important. Because I'd like to know how you guys are adapting, especially around technology. Because I'm so passionate about that, because I know, like, I'm not a coder myself, but like I am working with coders and developers and so forth, and they're doing that shit in English. There's no Africa there, bro. There's no Africa. It's even like this translation apps that I have, like when they transcribe to even in Afrikaans, it's poor, because I know we are not behind that shit. So that's kind of the point.
No, I'll have an answer, but I also would like to hear about Siza. How are you doing it, so that we have that three thing? Because this is not an exam, so I don't want to be the only person who's answering the questions.
I mean, I will tell you now before I forget that, even with the trend, each language is so important. I can tell you, Word, if I write English with a small letter E, it will insist that it's a capital letter E.
Very good point.
If I put African in capital A, it will, that kind of thing. Like, it always corrects.
Autocorrect.
Because it's layered. It's about culture. It's about identity.
And we are definitely, we as African people are definitely misrepresented in that space.
But also, I want to talk about the opportunities on that as well later. So let's pick it up.
I was thinking about it now when we're talking. I was thinking about it, but like by the end of this year, Wena and Wesley and you, Siza, you owe us a session online where you can have like visual artists, like what I'm doing. I mean, now I'm gonna be supervising for the first time a visual artist. I don't even know what I'll be doing. So I'm just like, I fake things while I go and.
No, you don't. I mean, you also play an instrument. Talk about that
later. because all they want from me, they say, this English is kind of like stifling us. So we want to pepper it with the Xhosa so that we have a conversation. So they will do their own thing. They are doing they are using mud, to build stuff and stuff. I'm like, okay, but we'll use the words in between, what this thing is, So the thing about it, if we can have a session online.
Yeah,
that's a dope idea.
Because things have moved online and we have, you can cut them into 3 hours.
Yeah.
To say 1 hour with these poets, 1 hour with that poet, and that poet each poet has a.
I mean, that's what we were talking
artist
about.
Who paints stuff.
Yeah. And that's also what I'm also an entrepreneur. Post the new company. We're actually working on that very thing, where we are taking the app will be twofold. We have the e-store. We want to be more video based, but it's a process. So as I'll explain that on a different time. But the goal is to have the e-store more video based, sort of like a TikTok type of thing, where because that's the
I need to join TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I need to get a TikTok.
So this language that this thing you're saying, we're working on it. Like that's the developers are currently working on. So that's also why I'm always interested on this platform, is asking other creators like yourselves their viewpoints on this and that, because it helps us to develop. Because I take and I conceptualize all of this and I transfer this to the developers.
Because I mean, I'm raising funds for instance for this book, because this book I published last year. And it did very well.
Yeah. Good one. Close to the camera.
Yeah. Voila. It did very well last year, but it could do better with me. I've seen this with me reading and having a translator to do moving things. And we have it online. We have it an ebook instead of having like this. I read a poem. And whatever your visual artist is thinking of that poem in their mind, and then they can have it.
Dope.
And then we can have that. Let's talk about that was after this. Let's talk about that and then raising funds, and then how much we can make that, and then we launch it.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
And we let it live there online. Whatever it makes, it will make. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I think it will. I mean, I'm just really focus right now on owning the digital space. So
it's our reality.
It's our reality, man, and taking products like this. You mentioned at the beginning of the conversation about accessibility. I think that's key, because here's the access on this device over here.
Yeah.
To put it and make it compatible for that.
Yeah. And then we'll cut it into small shots and have it like for the first time. I'll have a TikTok. I'll open a TikTok. I always thought it's useless, but I mean now I think we need it.
Yeah.
So we'll open a TikTok account.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the time, but I'll pick it up. I wanted to talk about because I was at a research seminar, creatives in research, and there was a guy, Dirk. Dirk, his PhD was on visual arts and poetry, and he does a lot of that, a lot of moving poetry, a lot of visual, animated.
Because we are more visual. In 2022.
That's a language.
It is emojis. Even a thing like emojis. There's not many. If you look at the emojis, if you just go on your device, if you go on your device right now, there's no real African representation on emojis.
Except for the
Yeah, and that's actually bullshit.
They just change a color. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean fuck all.
No, I want
no
a Zulu there with a spear, you know, and look like
I think, yeah, man. Just last point. I just think there's lots of scope there for creatives to because it's this like unconquered, but like I'm thinking like a white man here, like there's all this space and it's not. I don't own any of it. From Mthunzi, you were saying something super interesting, which really resonates both with Siza and I personally in a professional like way and on this platform, where we were talking about how there is a lack of growth in tertiary spaces where people are learning Xhosa as a tertiary language. You highlighted very interesting things. One major reason is the fact that it's not adapting fast enough. And we were highlighting the fact that we are living in a post-pandemic world, and the world has shifted dramatically in every conceivable aspect of human existence has shifted. And the question is as or rather just another point. We also made mention of like, I mean, we use apps to transcribe some of our podcasts when I remember, of course. But yeah, we do use that. And there's a very big prejudice towards African languages. Firstly, they get the words horribly wrong. Okay, they get the phrases. Sometimes even it's a grammar thing, which I think is just a reminder how misrepresented African people are in the digital space. I always thought that was a really, really good example to explain everything about the digital space. Given that we are living in a post-pandemic world, everybody is tethered to their device. When you talk about access, the way to access people is through their device. So I think technology is central to that conversation. So just to pick it up, just before we get to the tech part, you were saying about the misrepresentation of indigenous language in tertiary spaces. Let's just pick it up from there.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I think there's a thanks was I think there's a space that we haven't tapped into, which is besides just translation, but it's connected to translation, because I've always been that kid when I'm watching TV and then I see those what do you call it? Those things that when someone speaks another language, subtitles.
Yeah, man.
And I read subtitles. I'm like, oh, no, that is not what that person has said. You know, and I feel like the space there, even now with the internet, you know, with YouTube, I feel like there's a space that we need to, because I think the ones that they are using now are English based. So when they translate bad English, to say that as well. You know, they translate in that way. So there's a space there, but also as time moves on, I mean, I'm not on TikTok, but starting from tomorrow, I'm gonna join TikTok because it's important.
Yeah.
No, it's important, and I feel like as I was saying about this book, that we need to translate this book into an audio and visual thing, and we can do that online because other people don't like reading in this way, you know. So we need to find a way where we say this is a product we have, and be aggressive about it in terms of marketing it, you know. I think a lot of books that are not good are out there, but it's how they are aggressively marketed, you know. And I think us as artists, if we're gonna sit and say, no, I'm gonna publish a book and then maybe I'm gonna sell to 3-4 people, it's not going to work. But also I don't think my work will ever be kind of like subscribed to Siza. Please subscribe my book in your class. But I think a lot of people won't, because it doesn't talk about the conventional stuff, you know.
But you know what you're saying is very, very important. One, because also the opportunities that I feel come with the online space is the making money out of the knowledge that is ours, that is making everybody else rich. So we need to capitalize on that and own our narratives and get paid for that. But also, like you rightfully say, I would really love to translate your work into isiZulu, because then the knowledge is not stuck in Xhosa, you know what I mean? Like, and then you can translate it into Afrikaans if you're right, but you're not, so don't do it. But you can translate it into a painting.
Wow, what a shame.
Like this is
okay.
I will. You can translate it into a painting.
Okay, I don't think translating anything is really my gig. I like to focus what I'm really strong at, and like the point that you're raising, which I think is dope. So like with Gallery 360 Africa, we in partnership with MLab, and they've been supplying me with developers.
I'm there.
I didn't get them, and I'm not paying them.
Our next project is this book next year.
But like I think the thing is that there are developers out there that I do have access to that are very much up to speed with developing or writing programs, apps, software, etc. That is conducive, and they are passionate about it. It's a funding thing. For now, I'm okay because MLab is fronting all of that. It's not really my worry. But like it's something long term, definitely looking. We're focusing on because you got a very good point there.
And because there's also power in collaboration. You know, like I like what you say, because Wes and I are actually we're working on collaborating with my book, Poetry and Visual Art, because they all just languages on their own, and what you're saying is really, really.
It'll be interesting to see what we can come up with using the technology and the tools that is available. Because one thing that I'm really excited about is video. And you know, we have they're installing 5G cables even in a remote conservative part of the world like Kimberley, where we are based right now. So 5G is a real thing. Video becomes a very, very interesting medium. It becomes a very complex medium, and I think in many ways a very beautiful medium as well. And there's headsets. Headsets are going for $100, bro. Like it's not an expensive thing. Yeah, all you need is 4G phone and you're good to go. I think that we should definitely, I would actually encourage every academic and artist listening to this podcast.
I'm not an academic. Every artist and a poet like me.
You're not an academic. I don't understand that.
I told you that I'm always getting in between the fractions and in between the cracks. So I am, the only thing that I know definitely are words. That definitely is my thing. All the other things, all other things, I always feel like I'm an imposter there. Since I know I've been doing a lot of things, in between, But one thing I know,
she has a lot of things. And I mean, I like to think of language in a broader way, like in a broader sense. I love that you play an instrument. I mean, I was looking at your video singing with the children as well. It's another form of communication and language. Do you want to touch on that? Because I really find it powerful. There's power in sound, and you use both in your work. Yeah.
But as I was saying, I was raised in an environment where there was everything. Like my father was a senior preacher at Methodist Church, so I was subjected to that. It was not out of my will, to go to church every Sunday for good 14 years. I was always there.
Yeah.
So I had to participate in all the things, and also there were sangomas, at the back of my yard, and then the other side, actually, which I did not tell, there were the Abanduba spiritual church people, Basa St. John's. And then my mother is a failed sangoma, didn't finish the course, dropped out. She's a dropout. So I'm that kind of a person, So for me but the base of it was my grandmother, Nozipo, where we used to actually like listen to Inzomi from a radio, and to tell us, stories, and then the sounds, like I used to move around with the boys, like when they go to what is this thing, ukapelingoma, I don't know what is that in English, ukupingoma esangweni, and then let them go to the front to grace. So that was the thing. So I'll pick up things from that, but I want a very curious mind, and my ear does not forget what I know. So for me, it's very important. But also the thing with the kids that I'm doing now is to pass what I know, because they spend all of their time, we're raising a 12-year-old, which has kind of like changed my mind altogether.
I know.
Changed my mind altogether to say they sit and they watch TV and all of the time, and but what real, what is real, so I like doing workshops with kids, so I do that, and then we sing together, but also realize that you don't want it to be stiff like school. You want them to teach something, but you must teach them in a way where they feel like they are not being lectured to, they're not being forced that kind of information, so they can pick up what they want to pick up. So that's what I do. I play the flute, I play harmonica, because that's what boys in my village used to do. And then I was never, I've always been in between. So I was not with the boys, I was not with the girls, so I was in between. So I learned both, and it's always been that kind of a thing. So to me, it's about the teaching. It doesn't have to be formal all the time, But also, I think the important thing is how to express. I'm starting a group here in Grahamstown where I'm buying these. I'm still collecting them, so that each kid has in that group they have a
diary.
They have a writing pad. They have a notebook. They have a journal where they can write their feelings. I think that is important, even if you don't say it. We can have that to express how you're feeling, to express the things that scare you and things that excite you. And I think that is the most important thing, so that you don't go around as an adult trying to find affirmation from the spaces that shouldn't affirm you, so that you affirm yourself in your own, in the way you write, and you write in your own. You don't have to be a writer, but to have a form of expression. So all of these workshops that I do and all of these things is to say to kids that this is an expression. So I don't want to read your journal, but have a journal.
No, that's very important. And I mean, being in the education space is such a huge responsibility, because you are responsible for a lot of young minds, and how you shape them. So we truly wish you light, and we are rooting for you. Let's collaborate. I mean, I love the idea of also using this podcast in our classrooms. I know I will. Yeah. Because we've spoken a lot about the form that we teach, with, like, for me, which is poetry, and there's a lot of stuff that we've spoken about that are not really on books yet, because also the context is so different. So we really appreciate this. And if you can tell us, like, where do we get Umnigelo and Gimlo? Yeah.
Unamwen.
Sorry?
So Unamwen. Yeah. So all my titles are Bible based, because I've run away from church for a very long time, and
me too.
It has found me. It has found me. So this one was published by Uhlanga last year. Okay. So in any reputable, and also I want to say this, that people were like, I know it's because I'm not going to sell this book like this. Is it on a third print now?
Wow!
Third reprint.
Congratulations!
That's how it is moving. That is how it is moving along. Thank you so much. Thank you, bro. That's how it is moving. No, Wesley, I stayed in Cape Town, so so I stayed in Cape Town. So my tongue is not constrained by anything. I just speak whatever.
Afrikaans is not a white man's language.
Exactly.
Yeah, I prat.
Exactly.
So this book you can find it in a reputable bookstore, but you can also just send me an email, Mthunzikazi@gmail. Mthunzikazi Mbungwana at Gmail. It's easy. My name, full name and surname, and then you can send me. Or I'm on all the. I'm not on Facebook anymore because it's such a village, like, I saw your mother yesterday. I'm like, okay, no, we can't be talking about that here, but it's not part of the thing. But besides that, I'm trying to. What I'm doing is not a lot, but I bring myself to whatever space. So I'm saying, if we're saying the language is dying, and then if the kids meet me in 2044, they're gonna say, what did you do? To try and rescue it. So what all of I'm doing is to say, Xhosa can be cool. So I'm gonna join TikTok because I think Xhosa can be cool. I'm very old for TikTok, but I'm joining it only to think that Xhosa can be cool. It's a challenge. I'm joining it tomorrow, guys. Please follow me. I don't know what I'm going to do there.
Actually, we have a tip for you. So you can may you please read from your latest book, and then we cut the trip, okay. And then that's your first topic.
Thank you.
Like we're moving.
That's my first clip. So may I read Utogi? For you, Wesley.
Yeah.
This is a dog. It's a poem about a dog. There's a poem I read long time ago that was written by those. I remember I said to you I have a problem with this seminal works, but there was a guy called Umkai who wrote about a dog, and a dog was this respected kind of a thing, almost like a human being. So then I was kind of like pushing back and challenging to say, there's another dog that I know that could be a human being, but it's not doing what a human being should be. So utogi inja. So umamise utogi. Kwizinja zonke zalelali kukho le ngumamise. Umamise litshontsho lembewu yezinja zalomzi. Umamise imbewu katoki. Utoki inkunzi yenja lapha ekhaya. Utoki wamithisa zonke izinja. Injakazi zengingqi. Utoki uhloma ashiye agqithele kumhlaba uchumileyo. Unehloko-ndiba lamantshontsho agcwele yonke le lali. Utoki waxhapha onke amaqanda eenkukhu zalapho. Wabuya enomgada elalini. Imbongi ezichongele isizwe zambonga utoki zimncoma ukukhalipha. Umamisi wabizwa njengenjakazi emabele made kondla amantshontsho katoki. Utoki ugcina umzi, umlondolozi, ugcina usapho. Umamise yintshontsho katoki. Utoki ulala evundwini, umamise phandle yinja. Umamise yinjakazi ekhusela yonke le mibundlwana yashiywa ngutoki qothole. Utoki liqhawe eliqhwalelayo. Kwakulahleka amaqanda, kwakulahleka amathambo esopho lityala kamamise. Utoki yinja.
Yes, ezinye izinja. Like I remember
as a dog.
You reminded me, Guti. I actually like your humor in your poetry. Actually, you've always had, you cracked me up. Thank you, Guti, for sharing that.
Thank you so much. So my first clip is gonna be this. Boys, please send this to me. I'm opening my TikTok tomorrow.
Yes,
that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll chop this thing up. We'll tell our producer Julius Patson, big up my brother, all the way from Harare, doing very good work for the Art Lexcia podcast. Very strong member of the team. My sister Mthunzikazi, thank you so much for coming through. I think just to wrap up a few more things, one of the things that really resonated with me strongly is how you're working, how you've recognized how language is evolving, and how you're placing yourself in that path and trying to create change. I think you should be lauded for that in a major way, and I'm glad us as a podcast could give you some form of recognition for that, and I hope this platform could reach many. And speaking of that, to all our new and returning, there's actually quite a few returning listeners, and thank you everybody for coming through. Remember, we are on Patreon, we're on Spotify, iTunes. Our main channel is YouTube, so you'll definitely catch us on there. Remember, the email is theartlexciapodcast@gmail.com. I must be honest, I haven't been checking it for a minute, but that's because of life, bro.
Yeah, but we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. We're also getting, hey man, we're gonna get an intern, and it's gonna happen. Yeah. The last one didn't work out.
Yeah,
but like we'll get one. We'll become slicker, and the quality will improve, and everything will improve. My sister, thank you so much for coming through. Much respect and much love, man.
And definitely watch out for part 2 when we actually talk about the movement that we've been talking about in terms of with you.
We shall make a follow-up for sure.
Be following up on that. And all the best with what you do, sis. And thank you for your time. We celebrate you. We love you. We look up to you. Keep on shining. We celebrate ourselves. So
yeah, man.
You
so have a drink, or 3.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Wes. You don't remember me, but I remember you. But now
I remember you. I remember you.
I will still drive up. I will drive up to see you guys. It's not far from where I am.
For sure.
Once I have petrol, I'll drive up.
Hey, petrol.
But besides that, thank you for the work that you guys are doing, and I'm looking forward to that poetry meets art thing that we'll do
be in
online,
touch regarding that for sure.
Yeah.
It's important. It's needed. But thank you, Siza, for all that you've done for me all of these years.
Thank you.
One love, my sister. Enjoy the Sunday. Enjoy the drink, enjoy everything. Much love, black love.
Let's all enjoy our drinks. Love so much. Later. Like
One love.
One love.
Thank you.